Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're so glad that you're here in the audience, whether you're watching us live or watching the recording later on or listening to us on audio. We're really glad that you chose to be here. Connie Cleary says, hello.
Hey, Connie.
Connie. Good to see you.
Hello.
Facebook came in all right this time.
Yeah, everything seems to be working. I'm holding my breath here, waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Well, we also had to redo the countdown, but other than that, everything went well.
A few minor.
Hello, Rob and Joan. Hello,
Hey,
Paul Hollis. How are you doing?
Okay, reminding everybody.
Okay, hi guys. Hi,
Paul.
Paul. How are you? Good to see you here.
Welcome aboard.
Yes.
Want to remind everybody, Thursday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, go on www.wdjyfm.com and you can hear our shows there at 99.1 FM. You can turn on the actual radio and hear us on the radio there if you live in the Atlanta area. Saturday nights at 5:30, we do our episode rewind. That's 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here where you're watching right now. Nothing crazy there. And then, let's see, and I forgot to mention, tomorrow night on WDJY, it's going to be the episode with DG McCool.
Oh.
It's going to be his night.
Yeah.
Want to tell everybody that every Wednesday night we are live. However, we are going to be traveling starting next week. So on the the next 3 weeks, we will be traveling. So we'll have we have pre-recorded 3 brand new episodes with some awesome authors that need your support. So June 12th, we have Dr. Bruce Farmer. On June 19th, we have Timothy Gager. And on the 26th, Stephen Panis. And all 3 of those episodes were very, very good episodes. So don't miss them. Want to remind everybody to drop into, yes, there is another book cover contest.
Wait just a minute. Let me catch up.
Okay, what did you get?
So Paul K said, hi guys. And I said, hi, how are you? And he said, I'm good. Thank you. How are you? We're great. Thank you.
Peachy.
Lonnie and Becca Jones say, hello.
Hello,
Love
Lonnie
you.
and Becca.
George Dismuke says, I'm here but having audio problems. It's
Hi,
always
George.
something with this frickin' computer. That was my...
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
My interpretation.
Anyway, George probably can't hear us anyway, so that's okay.
He can hear us.
Anyway, there is another book cover contest we'd like to make you aware of.
It's not us though this time, folks.
It's not us. It's the June cover contest, and it's for allauthor.com. Just go to allauthor.com. Find Joy York's. There it is right there. Her cover right there. You can register on that for free. You do have to register so that they don't have bogus, votes coming in. But you don't have to buy anything or do anything or commit to anything. There's 4 rounds. This is the first round. I think there's 1 more day or 2 more days left in this round. And then there'll be 3 more rounds after that. And you can vote in each round. But support Joy York on that. That'd be great. All you do is click on the contest drop down and then cover the month voting and find her cover. Click and you got it. You're there. That's all there is to it. It's easy.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
No,
Registering is a pain in the butt.
It is a pain in the butt. We had trouble getting yours.
I had so much trouble registering, as did some of you when you were trying to vote for us. So,
yes. So we appreciate everybody.
I feel your pain, and I appreciate you voting for us.
Well, that's for sure.
Paul K says, what kind of genre do you both write? Well, we write murder mysteries, and we're part of a group called the Underground Authors. And we all write, all 12 authors. We write as one, and another couple also, not a married couple, but a working couple. Right, as one. So, but there are 12 of us, and once a month during the year, we come out with a new murder mystery. Ours are paranormal murder mysteries, and everybody has their own take on Magnolia Bluff, a little town in Texas where you wouldn't want to live because you're going to get murdered.
A lot of people, they don't know if you're going to leave. Anyway, onward. Joyce joined us tonight. Sorry she's late, and thank you both so much.
You're welcome.
No problem. We were late too, so not a problem there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're late in getting our guest on.
Yeah, let's
here,
do that.
taking up her time, so she's sitting backstage
patiently
in the green room, and it's all by
Just
herself. So.
Bring her on.
Okay. Hello.
Hello. I want to say, Rob and Joan, you guys are both so wonderful and adorable. I'll just stay in the green room and listen to you guys. That was amazing.
You can't have a drink back there, though. We don't.
Darn it.
Back there.
You said free drinks if I came on. That's what I heard. I mean, I don't have it in writing, but
it's just water. Yeah.
Dang it.
Paul
Read
K
your
says
contracts, people.
Yeah, read your contracts always.
There you go.
Paul K says, very interesting. I'm currently working on a novel myself.
Great.
Awesome. This
Yeah,
is the
good.
show for you. Then you'll get a lot of tips and hints that actually every other person that has said hello so far tonight is an author. And of course, our guest is an author also. Angela Yuriko Smith.
Yeah,
we're so glad that
you're coming to us live from Brazil.
Brazil, people.
That's great.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right.
It's a long way away.
It's amazing. The internet is great. I mean, it isn't always that way when we have overseas guests on.
Right.
That was actually one of our prerequisites is what is the internet like? I believe it was like you could go to Brazil and there's all these benefits. What is the internet like, though? Because that's a very important thing to us and authors in general. We pretty much work online, a lot of us now.
Yeah, I think that that's absolutely true. A lot of us do. Beth Hildenbrand says, hi, Angela.
Hey, Beth. How are you? Beth also has a great show. So, well, it is. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and talk about like writing and divulge all the secrets. You can ask me anything, and I will have no secrets. I will tell you everything. My secret base location. You've got it.
It's Area 51.
Well, you might want to tell people what you do, because you do coaching for authors and all kinds of stuff. So, Paul K, this was the right night to tune in.
That is true. Yes, I do book coaching. I run a newsletter for authors that's free to get on, and it talks about all the different things like Meet the Author podcast is on there. All the great ways that you can be involved and find places to read and places to submit and places for more learning, like educational opportunities, grants, pretty much anything in the author universe that I can find that I think would be of value. I do try to make it paying submissions and free classes and free contests. But sometimes if I feel like it's a really high value kind of thing, I will do it. I'll put it in there. And I do try to vet everything that goes in there just to make sure that there's a lot of wolves out there in the sheepfold. And I try to make sure that we're sifting them out. So
yeah, that is the truth.
Yeah.
So this is the right place to reach you, right? Authortunities.substack.com. And for those of you that are listening on audio, that's AUTHORTUNITES.SUBSTACK. And you can find everything that Angela just talked about there. It's a one-stop shop.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny too, because when you think of a name, I love portmanteaus, but when you're spelling it out, I'm like, gosh, that's such a long name now. I didn't realize that until we're spelling it.
Yeah, I had to take a double take on it myself, honestly.
Yeah, it's a portmanteau between authors and opportunities, author opportunities. But besides that, I publish, I published Space and Time magazine, which has been around since 1966. Gordon Lindner started that in New York City on a mimeograph machine that he bought for $25 in high school. So, and he kept it going for 50 years. And then Hildy Silverman took it over, and then I took it over, I think about 12 years later. So
Are you still
we're
using the mimeograph?
no, we let Gordon keep that. We think we paid him to keep that. Please, no mimeograph machine. I remember
bet,
those,
please.
but
They
that
could
is
have
a
put the word.
semi-pro.
Usually they upgrade it and put the word turbo on there.
Turbo mimeograph.
Turbo
Yeah.
mimeograph turbo mimeograph
There we go.
X 2.0.
Yeah.
I still don't want to use it, thanks. Like I said, I do remember those.
For real.
but
There's so
yeah.
many things we remember that are now passe.
Oh yeah. My daughter came to me one day and she was talking about, she worked in a museum and they gave her a stack of records, basically, you know, the old records, and she was calling them something else. I can't remember what it was now, but it was a different name. But vinyls, yeah, but she was saying vinyls. That's what it was. And she's like, I've got this stack of vinyls they gave me. Vinyls are so cool. You know, I think these vinyls are worth something on eBay or something. And I'm driving like, what are you talking about? I finally look at her lap and I'm like, vinyls. Oh my gosh. And she had actually said something like, I don't even know what you do with them. I'm like, oh, honey, I can tell you what to do with. I don't think we called them vinyls. I think we called them records. I think that was a 70s thing to call them.
Records.
Yeah.
Yeah, 70s
Yeah.
or 33s. Or Marjorie Deering says, sorry I'm late. That's okay. You're forgiven. First day of my daughter's annual garage sale at our house. They just closed up for the night. Well, you're very sweet to let your daughter do that. I hope it was successful.
Yeah.
They sold lots of vinyls.
Yeah,
Or vinyls.
sold lots of vinyls.
Or a mimeograph machine.
Vinyls are in now, though. The younger people really like them, and they
and records. Yeah.
One of our grandson bought a record player, and he, you know, at least it wasn't a Victrola. We're not that old.
Yeah. Well, and typewriters too.
And he's bought a bunch of vinyls. Yes, our daughter has a typewriter.
Yeah, I do have one in my background that somebody gave me as a gift. I guarantee I do not type on that. The difference is I know what it's like to vintagely write something on a typewriter, and I am not going back there.
No,
right?
No.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm not trying to say anything about the people that are, I love, you know, typing. I love the feel of my keys. That is good for you. It's not good for me. I did that.
Yes. And enjoy it. And
yeah.
It was a godsend when they came out with whiteout.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, but don't let it dry out at all. Don't let the breath of anything touch that whiteout, or you're going to get clumps.
There you go.
Speaking of horror stories, no.
Okay. Marjorie said they sold lots of fishing lures. Joan, there's very little volume on the microphone on your end. How about, is it okay on Rob's?
We'll find
We'll wait. Well, she'll tell us. Yeah. Joy Shelton said backspace and yes, backspace and
oh yes.
Oh my gosh, Tori Gates.
Tori.
Hello all. I no longer miss typewriters.
Nope.
Thank you. See, we're in the right group here.
There you go.
Yes, I think Tori especially will love this guest. He will. We're going to Pennsylvania, Tori, for the next few weeks. We're going to be investigating at Gettysburg.
Oh, nice. That is so exciting. That place is going to be rich. I love Gettysburg.
I do too. We've been there before. This time, after all the tourists leaves, we're going to be able to go in and investigate with all of our equipment, just our team, and a few places. So that'll be totally fun and amazing. If we can live stream, we will. And we'll let everybody know that we're going to do that. It depends. I mean, Gettysburg isn't like Brazil. It doesn't have a lot of
internet.
Internet.
I've been to Gettysburg and those mountains, and it's a neat place. But yeah, I don't think the
okay, ours is extremely low.
The connectivity is probably good.
Low? I'll tell you what. Why don't we switch out and take the earphones out?
Okay, we're gonna switch our mics. When this is what I was afraid of. Hold on.
I feel like I should tell jokes right now, but I don't have anything.
You can, or you could dance.
All right.
Do a little soft shoe.
How's that? Is that better?
Is that any better? Can you hear us?
Oh, they can't hear us at all now.
Okay.
I've heard you fine this whole time.
Oh, do you still hear us fine now?
I do. I hear an echo now, though.
Yeah, that's because we took our earbuds.
That's fine.
Better.
Joy says it's better. Okay. Beth Hildebrand said she's done the Gettysburg investigation. Yeah, we've done Gettysburg quite a bit. This time we're going to get to do the Jenny Wade House privately, and we'll get to do the orphanage privately.
Yeah, after tourist hours.
After the tourists are all gone, and so that'll be
gonna
really
film
fun.
A bunch of stuff, and hopefully we'll have some stuff to share on our other podcast.
Yeah, every time we've gone there, we've seen a lot.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, it's going to be. Well, you're going to a mental hospital, right?
I hope so. Yeah, we're trying to set that up with the graveyard. Yes.
They're not going to lock you away. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I should specify that it's not for me.
I was the one that should have specified. You're checking into a mental hospital soon, right? No, she's going to investigate.
Well, I do have some friends that would probably. Oh, that explains a lot.
And Beth wants to know, Angela, have you found any bacon? What, Brazil has no bacon? Oh, I can't live there.
I was on her show a couple weeks ago, and for some reason, you know how you'll get like these little themes or motifs, and for some reason, bacon kept coming up. Because I was on a hunt for bacon and I couldn't find it. So they just don't do the preservatives here. I'll say that. I did find bacon, but it didn't have all the preservatives I'm used to. So it wasn't quite giving me that nitrate kick. It was actually healthy.
Oh, it must have been so much better for you.
I'm sure it was. I didn't feel sick afterwards. Where's the regret feeling after eating a lot of bacon? I miss that.
Besides, we don't like anything unless it has preservatives and fat and sugar and sodium.
Yeah.
All good things.
Good stuff.
Nah.
Yeah, that is one thing for living here is the desserts, because they are lower sugar from what I'm used to. At first, I was like, I don't really like any of these desserts, and I'm a sugar person. I love eating cake and sugar, but it's just they're reasonable about it. You don't need to have 5 cups of sugar in one slice of cake. You know, I get that. It's just not as tasty.
So you probably adjusted to that a little bit.
I have. It's been good because I just really stopped eating desserts as much. You know, if I can't have my 5 cups of sugar, then.
You could always make your own, just saying.
I've tried that too. Oh, and that almost wound up being a horror story because we don't read Portuguese very well. And culturally, things can be different. And so in the spice, I'll have to send you a picture of this. In the spice rack, you know, where you like have like little candy things and you put them on cupcakes and stuff, like candy for kids. There's drain cleaner in little packets that look exactly like all the other packets. And I was trying to get baking soda to make a cake, and I used that. Thank goodness I tasted it a little bit on the spoon, and I realized something was very wrong. It was drain cleaner.
Wow.
Yeah, so could have been a horror story.
George says now she has a bad echo. That's because we took our earbuds out so that you could all hear us. So I don't know what to do.
I have had this issue before, and if we take turns muting, I guess I don't have to mute when you guys are reading, but if you're muting when I'm speaking, then they won't hear it. It's a weird go around, but
I just switched one of our settings. The echo cancellation had gotten taken off by accident. So
that might help.
Hopefully that has helped. We need to talk
I don't hear an echo at all, so that's perfect.
There you go. I don't either. We need to talk about your writing, but we do also need to take our first break.
Oh my gosh, we
I
wasted
know,
all this
all
time
this
goofing
time. But
around.
now we know what's happening in Brazil.
Well,
so
we're
that's
just
pretty
going to
good.
have Angela back on the show another time.
I guess so, right away. All right, so let's take a quick break here, folks, and don't go away. We've got a lot to talk about here, and be right back.
It's 1919, and Eric Laska returns from the war in Europe. Two new enemies await him in the small coal mining town he calls home. One is a threat to his relationship with Rebecca, the love of his life. The other, a bloodthirsty beast, is stalking the mining town residents. The townspeople suspect Eric of one of the killings. An old man and Rebecca's 11-year-old sister have seen the beast, but only Eric believes their story. To protect the town and clear his name, he's forced to prove the werewolf exists. Available on Amazon. The Horror Within by Marjorie Swift Doring.
Profiteers are preying on displaced souls who seek freedom, sacrificing everything. Wanting to give their children hope and a future, but they wrongly trust on a roll of loaded dice. Teens are picked off and sold into slavery. Cartels offer the choice to strong young men to move illegal drugs over the border or die. The R Group and CATS team leaders want to end Mateo's inhuman business model. The heroes must derail the human exploitation and opioid epidemic, killing people in increasingly dramatic numbers. If they can save even a few from the jaws of death, they win. The present-day battle is in full swing, yet it can end badly for humanity unless the Enigma heirs triumph. Who will survive the onslaught? And how fast can they make Mateo pay?
Many secrets are hidden within the darkness of the jungle. Now comes part 4 in the Jaguar series by retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. In this saga, Brandon, Andrea, and Naja, the Black Jaguar, go deep into the Mato Grosso jungle on a mission to rescue 2 kidnapped children. During their journey, they encounter many dangers, including Yanomami Indians, bent on revenge for the murder of one of their warriors.
Return of the Jaguar is book 4 in the Jaguar series, starting with 2 faces of the Jaguar, the Lost City, and the Jaguar's Quest. All 4 are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other bookseller websites worldwide. Return of the Jaguar is a must-read.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
Tori says, I moved over here. It's better now.
Moved over
and
to YouTube.
Marjorie Deering said moved over to YouTube, yeah. And Marjorie Deering said the audio is better now. So good.
Oh, fantastic.
We tried something different tonight, and
so
that's what we get.
What would you I know. New earbuds. George says now your audio is normal. Yeah.
Perfect.
We're back to normal.
Well, we could have blamed it on Brazil. I mean, everybody would have believed that.
Yeah. Is it too late to blame them?
I'm afraid I am painfully truthful. So maybe more truthful than people would like me to be sometimes. So
I think
not
that's
about anybody else, about myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me be clear about that. I don't expose anybody's anything, but Marjorie said, I would hate to miss any of Rob's dad jokes.
I misspelled it. It's supposed to be bad jokes.
Aren't those the same thing? I thought.
What? Wait a minute.
Off this show. No water for you.
Get out of here. Nice having you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So,
which of your books, or do you want to talk about a book, or would you like to talk about something else?
Or would you like to read now, or what do you want to do?
Yeah.
I'm open for everything. I could read. I do have a section to read out of a book that will be published It's available on Amazon right now as a Kindle Vella episode. You can just read. Don't ask me how you get coins. I don't know, but I just know how to publish them on Kindle Vella. But I know you can get coins and read it or something, and the first 3 chapters are free. I'm also happy to talk about books. I'm happy to talk about how people can get published. That's one of my favorite topics, which is why I wound up becoming a book coach. I'm a trustee for the Horror Writers Association, so I can't divulge all those secrets, but I can divulge a lot of things.
All right. Well, why don't we get the reading done and start there? And then
the name of the book that they can find on Vella is?
It's Soft Deadlines. And if you look up my name, Angela Yuriko Smith, and Soft Deadlines, you'll be able to find it. And it is in episodes. I was trying a new thing from Kindle Vella. It came out, I think, about 2 years ago, and I was on the beta, and then I just stuck with it for a while and got it done. And not sure if Kindle Vella maybe was a great experience or experiment for Amazon. So now I'm just going to go ahead and publish it as a normal book, how normal books are. Still haven't been able to replace the normal book. But this is called First Date. It's from Soft Deadlines, and it is a little bit racy-ish, but it never gets into the nothing beyond PG-13, maybe. So, and excuse my Latin, this is purposefully bad because I don't want to really raise anything. Vini ad me et e corruptione et incumetanium pro servitio saturas famem alimenta non opus est in me, vini ad me. It was done. 5 minutes ticked slowly by with no response. She hadn't thought about how uncomfortable kneeling in high heels would be. Maybe she'd mispronounced something. She started again. Vini ad me et corruptione et in... She trailed off as a ribbon of ebon smoke twisting from beneath the floorboards in her circle thickened into an inky cloud. It poured into a form like dark wine filling a bottle, and a man began to take shape. She bit her lip with excitement and pulled her bustier over her tummy pudge. It was working. Within minutes, she was kneeling at the feet of an incubus. He was stunning, nearly 6 feet tall, with glistening skin, the color of midnight sapphire. A lustrous sheen accented his sharply cut structure. From the tips of his horns to the bottoms of his cloven hooves, he was a tight, nastily hung dream. She struggled to her feet, almost teetering out of the circle. Naomi realized she was panting a little bit. So, hello. She felt self-conscious in the presence of this dusky god or being. How do we do this? Do we have to stay in the circle? Is this like a one-time off or... So, sweetheart, it's like this. He paused to adjust the leather straps that kept him girded and shuffled backwards. Naomi thrilled. She hadn't expected him to sound Australian. I know why you called me. I'm an incubi, so it's expected. I can't fault you for calling a professional. But here's the rub. Again, he adjusted the straps. Naomi waited for him to finish. He didn't, just readjusted his loins. Finally, she just asked, What's the rub? Well, this here. Again, he was tugging on the straps, and then it clicked for Naomi. Ah, she purred. You need my help with that rub. I thought you'd never ask. She looked deep into his coal-black eyes and tugged at a buckle. He stepped back again, hooves on the edge of the salt chalk lines. Can we leave this pentagram? I'm not going to blow up or anything. It's been a while since I was last conjured, and I've forgotten the rules. Oh, yeah, if you'd rather use the bed. She scuffed the chalk with her heel. He slid out, but didn't move to the bed. First, I have to apologize. I know why you called me, but I'm just not up for it right now. Maybe in a bit when I've had a breather. Naomi was stunned. What? You're an incubi. That's what you do. It's what you exist for. Yep, I know. I do really enjoy my job, but the problem is the one just before you. He readjusted his straps again and leaned forward. I'm really quite chaffed. What? You can't be chaffed. You're a demon. You're insatiable. You take it. I should no longer walk straight. What the heck? Her voice cracked a little. Is it me? Am I too plump? No, you're perfect. He folded her into his arms. I don't discriminate with gender, size, race, religion. I actually prefer a little religion to spice it up. I'll let you exercise me later, if you want. I just need a rest for now. Really? It's not me? Naomi looked at him, full of heated hopes. Oh, yeah, not you at all, love. It was the last job. She was a succubus. Have you ever heard of that? A succubus conjuring an incubi? I can tell you that was fun for a few years, but honestly, I am beyond spent. I could sleep for a decade. A decade? Tears pricked in the corner of her eyes. Don't let me ruin your fun. He moved to the bed, unstrapping himself as he went. Sprawling on it, he finally revealed his full glory to Naomi. It was resting. You get yourself started, he yawned. I promise you'll rule the day in a bit. Demon went out like a light, almost invisible against the black silk sheets she had bought for the occasion. Cursing, Naomi remembered she'd forgotten to buy batteries.
That is very funny.
Yeah, I was like a little bit like, hopefully he's not crossing any lines.
I don't think so.
I think we have a couple of comments. Okay. Robert White, who is from Australia, says, crikey, an Aussie incubus. He is reaching us from Queensland, right, Robert? And he said, and you must know this because your husband's Australian. He's on Smoko.
Yeah, that's funny. So now he can judge my terrible Australian accent. When my husband listens to this afterwards, he'll be like, oh.
Marjorie Deering said, great reading, Angela. Great term, tummy pudge. So cute. Beth Hildebrand said, loves it. Love it.
Oh, thank you.
It was funny.
It was
really
good.
funny. He had a bad day.
Yeah. And I just pictured, like, I think the inspiration was, witchcraft is in fashion now. And so you can buy these kits on Amazon and all this kind of, it's very mass market produced right now. And so I think that's what started is like, what would happen if you bought an Amazon kit? Because, I believe in that stuff. But it actually worked. What would you really do if you actually conjured something? But I wanted to make it a joke because obviously it would not be good. Kids, you don't want to conjure anything if you don't know what you're doing.
For real.
Yeah. So
Robert
that's where it went
Matthews.
funny.
Yep. Central Queensland.
Oh, that's awesome. My husband is from Adelaide.
Your husband?
Way down south. Yeah, Adelaide, Australia. Way down south from where he is.
Robert is.
Yeah, Robert. So I was going to say Rob, and then I was like, oh, I'm thinking of Rob from Rob and Joan. So, yeah.
Oh, Robert said, as long as the kids don't have cleaning sprinkles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
horrible.
That's mind blown. I can't believe
Yeah, I will.
Yes.
I will send you guys a picture so you can see. I took a picture just as evidence of like, but that was one of the really interesting things about being here is because everything is in Portuguese. And I learned to read at a really young age. I can't remember a time when I didn't read. And then later I worked in a library later in my life. And we would have people that were illiterate come in. And so we'd help them with things. But it was something that I couldn't understand. Like, what would that be like to not be able to read? And I know reading is a big part of your lives. And so being here, I realized I'm illiterate here because nothing makes sense. And I've realized how hard that is, and how much you depend on other people to basically help you and ask questions of them, and how important the libraries are then in the US for that reason.
Do you have a translator on your phone?
I do. Yeah. And that's why we can even do this at all. And now we do have a little bit of Portuguese, like working Portuguese, very terrible. Probably like listening to a toddler talk, me go there now. It's probably what we sound like, but no eat drain cleaner. Okay.
Not good idea.
Yeah, but thank goodness for technology, because my great grandmother immigrated to the U.S. She was Ryukyuan or Okinawan, And so that has been kind of a resonating experience with me as what must it have been like for her to not speak the language and to come to this place where there could be drain cleaner in the candy. You don't know, like people, different cultures do things differently. And if you're used to it, you don't think of it as a strange thing. When I did ask the Brazilians around here about it, like, oh, did you know they have drain cleaner in the candy section next to the candy? Everybody was kind of like, well, yeah, because where else would it be? Not in the candy section. Like, where's the baking soda? So
maybe with the cleaning solutions would be leaps to mind.
Might as well look there.
yeah. I actually have never found baking soda. I found yeast, but it's just, I guess they just don't use it, or I don't know what it is yet, but it's been interesting being illiterate. It's been interesting kind of like having the immigration experience that my grandmother did, except much better because they came over with nothing, and I do have means. I have a job on the internet. My husband works on the internet, so.
But
technology.
You and your husband are getting to experience this together because he's from Australia, you're from America. So, you're both in the same boat in Portuguese with Portuguese. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it has been really neat. And that's one thing we'd always said, if we could get a culture neither of us are familiar with, we can experience it new together. But now we're just kind of very excited by the whole digital nomad and traveling thing, since we are very privileged to be able to do that because our work is on the internet. So from here, we're actually talking about going to Okinawa. Like next year, we will be going back to Australia for a little bit, just for a visit his family. And then we're right there in the whole Australasian thing. Let's go by Okinawa and see that. And then, just kind of, we've got friends in Philippines, so just go see that side of the world.
You have to visit the caves.
Yes. Oh, that is on my list. And actually, as paranormal investigators, I mean, you might even have information on this. My family name is Kayota, and I've been told that there's some family names that are very common, and I think Miyagi is one, like Mr. Miyagi.
Yes.
It's like saying Smith almost.
Right.
But Kayota there was only one family of Kayota, and there's a house there, or it's not a house anymore, but like the ruins of a house. And it's called the Kayota House. And it is, I've been told, and there's like some ghost specials on it and stuff, that it is the scariest, it is the most haunted place in Okinawa, which is kind of famous for being haunted. And so I really want to go there because we have so many family stories on the Okinawan side about an ancestor, a great, great thousands of great grandfather who offers, because my family is Yuta, and offers the Yuta, and this is the family story, and I'm repeating it. I could have things off, but he offers the ability to be Yuta to the first daughter in our family, going down through the generations, and then you accept it or you don't, but be careful because it's the devil, so many things like that. Yuta, as I've done research, doesn't actually work like that. It's a shamanistic thing. You have the schism. And because, you might be hearing voices or things that are not typically thought of as normal. And then, it's a journey from there. So I don't know how much I don't not believe the story as there's something real, but I don't believe it is what maybe my family thought it was coming down through the generations. But I still really want to go to the Kayota House in Okinawa, like find it. And I am that person that, if it was a horror movie and, people are like, don't open the door, I open the door. So
stand in front of your bathroom mirror with the lights off and say, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary 3 times.
One of my best ghost stories, it was, there was 3 wraps on a record player top. Speaking of record players again, the amber kind of cover that would be over them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I hear the 3 taps, and like thinking about it in retrospect, it is like, why are you going to the noise? But that was, what is making that noise? I have to find out. So I know what my end will be someday. It's curiosity killed the cat.
Always go to the noise. Always.
Yeah, exactly. And usually it's not a big deal.
Beth says, has your new book been released yet? And as a matter of fact, we can bring that right up right now.
Yeah, if we are talking about In Eugenie, which is right here, I actually have a bit of an announcement on that. It was coming out on June 23rd. And so yay and because I really am very excited to release this. This was my first novel-length work, and it is about Okinawa. And it is about the journey of 3 girls in Okinawa during World War II, and the things that really, it's based on truth, but it's fiction, because that story isn't mine to tell. I might get things wrong. So I did a fictional retelling of history, so that I can insulate also these are real things that really happen to people. And some of them most of them, I'm going to say, are pretty horrific. And I didn't want to capitalize on people's actual stories. So it is fiction. But that was due to be published on June 23rd, which is Okinawa Memorial Day, which is an accident. I started it on that, and then I decided to just accidentally, I did not know that was Okinawa Memorial Day, which commemorates the Battle of Okinawa and everything that happened. And then, so I decided that would be the good day to publish it. But so the yay part is, I'm frustrated a little bit, because, that is self-publishing, but when you have an opportunity, you do want to take it. There's a Brazilian publisher here that is interested in my entire backlog. So they want to republish everything, Bittersweets and Tortured Willows, and basically everything that I've written, but in Brazilian, have Brazilian or Portuguese translations. So I'm super excited, and I have been asked to delay the release of Inugini so that those two things can coincide a little bit. And so I was like, oh, sure. Like, that's a great opportunity, and I'm super excited. So I will still be self-publishing Inugini in English. I'll keep all the rights for that. But there is no way that I will be translating a book with my Portuguese at any time. So I'm really excited that they're going to do that. And I will not be able to read it other than like the very basic, I go there now. So, but
it's a beautiful cover.
Oh, thank you. My daughter is an artist, and she made that cover.
The
monster behind it is Shisa, which is an Okinawa. Well, you're probably familiar because you've gone over to Okinawa. Oh, okay. Shisas are the guardian lion dogs of Okinawa, and they're like a truly Okinawan thing. They're very similar to, I think it's Shishi in China, the lion dogs.
Yeah.
But they're modeled off of I think it's Buddhist. I may be butchering some things, so I apologize. But the Buddhist guards, and one always has his mouth open at a temple, and one will have the mouth closed. And so the Shisa, and that's like they think they may be modeled off of that, but they're just little lion dogs that protect you. And the girl always has her mouth closed. She seals away the demons and keeps in the bad luck. And the male always has his mouth open because he's drinking in the good luck, but roaring away the demons, like scaring them. And they're hugely important. You'll see them on top of the tile roofs. You'll see Shisa everywhere. I actually have my own Shisa. I have mini Shisa, but these actually figure in the story. These were a gift from another daughter, but and these are obviously like very cartoony, like cutesy versions of them.
Yeah.
But and so you probably can't see that the male has his mouth open and the girl has her mouth closed.
Yeah.
But in the story, I keep talking about Shisa, and I think it's two of the girls have Shisa, but one of them loses the female, one of them loses the male, but in very significant ways. And then the third girl actually has a Shisa as a guardian, like I guess manifested Shisa throughout. But it's very very light on the magic realism. I wanted the reader to kind of, is this in their imaginations, and make their own significant kind of attack, like what is the significance of this, and let the reader kind of make their own decisions for that.
Okay. Hey, we're running a little bit late for our second break, so let's take that, and then we still have a lot to talk about, so don't go away, anybody.
Yeah. Why?
Have you wanted to publish your story? Have you thought about self-publishing?
Today is your day. 5-star Amazon review. Self-publish your ebook on Amazon for free in 2024. This ebook is available on Amazon. By Becca L. Jones.
An unforgettable mystery thriller that will transport you back to 17th century England. Introducing Dream of Courage, facing fear head-on, your passport to 17th century mystery, mayhem, and murder. Follow Robert and John Rushworth through Leeds' bustling Briggate district, where danger lurks in the shadows, embodied by the thief-taker Jacob Wilding. You will laugh, you will cry, and be in awe of the twists and turns. Its meticulous attention to character development, emotional nuance, and the unfolding of the story's layers promise a compelling and emotionally charged journey. The U.S. National Times said, "Modern writers usually don't know what it was like to live in the past, but Rushworth Brown does this with great skill." Uncover the secrets of Smythe, the enigmatic tavern keeper who sends Robert to the Haven, to the pirate Captain Girlington. Will he outweed danger in the nick of time?
Paradise, My Prison. Charlie Flint awakens from a deep sleep and finds himself alone on a tropical beach surrounded by a palm tree jungle and exotic animals. He cannot remember who he is or anything about his life. First, he must find food and build shelter and protect himself from hidden dangers. As his memory gradually returns, it reveals what a very flawed person he is. A man who made too many mistakes, made too many enemies. The implications of the truth are staggering. How did Charlie get there? And will he save himself? Paradise, My Prison is the riveting new suspense thriller from retired Hollywood scriptwriter George Dismukes. Paradise, My Prison by George Dismukes is available in jacketed hardcover, softcover, and all ebook formats worldwide.
We're back.
We are.
You guys have such fantastic ads. I'm kind of like, oh, I need to get on Amazon while I'm watching this.
Yeah, our sponsors have done a good job.
Yeah, done a really good job with their ads. I'll tell you, makes you want to buy the books.
It does. So go buy the books, people. They're right there.
There you go.
All the books.
All the books. You can never have too many books.
Everybody's books. Yes. Speaking of Angela's books, this is another beautiful cover. I think, did your daughter do this one also?
No, but she did. This is actually kind of an interesting series that accidentally happened. This is the first book. It was originally published by Omnium Gatherum, and Lee Murray and Genevieve Flynn are the editors. And at that time, I didn't really know them. I just did 2 stories for it. And it wound up winning everything that year. I mean, it was just kind of cleared house. Shirley Jackson, and not my stories, but the whole book in itself. And Bram Stoker. I mean, it just kind of like was very celebrated. So after that, we decided to get together, Lee Murray and Genevieve Flynn and Christina Singh, who's a really established and well-celebrated poet. And we all got together and did another book, and my daughter did that cover. And so we tried to really match it. And you can see like the colors are very similar and the stylings. So we tried to match that first book, mostly because, hey, that did really well, right? Yeah, I'll hold them up together.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and this is actually the second cover of Black Cranes. The first cover, which I don't have, was by Omnium Gatherum. This is republished now by Raw Dog at this point, like this current cover. And so, yeah, so everything, we were trying to match it. And then we were, because, if you've got a winning horse, you don't want to change your horse too much, right? You just keep riding that same horse. So, right. And Tortured Willows did really well. And it's poetry, but it's the same thing. It was supposed to be about the voices of Asian women that write horror telling these dark stories. Kind of in an answer, a lot of it was COVID and some of the prejudice that was happening at the time against the Chinese and the Wu flu. Oh, yeah. That was what prompted it. Yeah,
that was weird anyway. So people who are listening, the first book is Black Cranes, Tales of Unquiet Women, because they wouldn't have seen it. And you did mention the second one was Tortured Willows, Bent Bowed, Unbroken. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was very weird. People would...
Yeah.
be upset because an Asian came into the store or something. And I'm like, you do understand that COVID is a virus. It doesn't have anything to do with catching it from an Asian person.
Yeah, that was some really dark times, but it did inspire all of this.
Yeah.
Because that's why we were writing on Quiet Spirits. We wanted to have our say as women of Asian descent, you know. And then Tortured Willows, the third book, was just up for a Stoker this last weekend at Bram Stoker Awards. We did not win. That's okay, because we lost to Sadie Hartman, who is amazing. And she wrote 101 books to read before you're murdered, which is a brilliant book. So, you know, it's like, you know, where you lose, but you can't be too upset, because her name is Mother Horror. So I can say I lost to Mother Horror. I am not ashamed. So we didn't win the Stoker this year for that, for Unquiet Spirits, which is the third book. So it went from fiction to poetry to nonfiction. And then in a way, In Eugenie is part of that, because when I was writing Tortured Willows, I was writing about my experiences as an Okinawan woman, like my cultural Asian connection. And I'm only a third Okinawan, so, you know, but like the things that I could remember from my grandmother, and I just honestly didn't really think I had that much. I was like, well, she had really tiny feet, and we eat a lot of weird foods, and we believe in ghosts, and that's been a huge part. But I didn't realize all of the things, the political things that are happening on Okinawa now, and I didn't realize anything about the Battle of Okinawa, because we don't talk about it. Culturally, you don't talk about it because you don't want to remember it again. There's repercussions for talking about it in a lot of cases, and the stories are disappearing as the people who remember them and don't want to talk about them anyways are passing away because of age. And so that was why I wrote In Eugenie, because I had been learning so much about it. And I went through, I think, the 5 stages of grief, you know, where it's first, it's like, what? Well, no, I didn't even know Okinawan wasn't Japanese for a long time. I mean, I was 35 when I found that out. So then it was kind of like, oh, Okinawans are not Japanese, but what does that even mean? And then later, as I'm doing the research, it was like, what? Okinawans are actually Ryukyuans, and they're an indigenous people, and there was a kingdom, and there's still a king and a queen. I mean, there's still royalty. I don't know if there's a queen, but I know there's still Okinawan royalty in place, but they don't, you know, they're there by blood, but they don't have power. And then I just found out all these things. It was just like pulling the top off the Spam can and just releasing all of the things that I didn't know. So I went through like rage and then upset, and why isn't nobody talking about this? And then to realizing this is not an unusual story. This is a very sad but very common story about people coming in and crushing indigenous races and squelching the culture and taking all of, you know, sadly, it's common. And right now, as we're going through a lot of real world things that are related, In Eugenie was my kind of way to fight back, because I'm 5 feet tall and I'm not very articulate. Like, I'm not really a spokesperson. Don't ask me to run for like politics, because I'd be terrible. I would definitely get myself in trouble by saying the wrong thing. But I've always written, and that's how I handle my stress, and that's how I handle basically any problem in my life. So I just wrote, and I actually had COVID when I wrote the book, and I wrote it in a month. And it was such a weird month, because I was fevered and I was out of it most of the time. And talking about spirits, there was a lot of that going on, where I thought somebody shoved me off my desk chair. I could have just passed out too. I was fevered. I'm not saying anything, but it was just a really dark month. And we actually, in that month, we had our dog die, like an older, he was older, but you know, that's still, and it was so sudden. And
a loss, yeah.
A family member committed suicide, and I got bitten by a brown recluse, but and my husband got shot in the arm in Kansas City in the park. So it was just like this nightmare month, which there were metaphysical things going on. I stuck something up I shouldn't have. So be careful, children, what you are sticking up in your house without paying attention. And I'd use something from a friend that I thought was fine because it's a friend, and I didn't really do my due diligence, and wound up unleashing this. I like to think of it now in retrospect, now that I kind of have put everything together, that it was more like like a firewall. When you have two technologies that are fighting with each other, they kind of can shut everything down. And neither was necessarily bad, but I put up new protections that were then at war with my protections that I already had up. And nobody was happy. That was a terrible, terrible month.
We need to take 1 second here just to say goodnight to all the folks listening on WDJY 99.1 FM in Atlanta. Thank you so much for tuning in. And hopefully you'll join us again next week at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Thanks again.
But for all the rest of you, we're
Everybody
still in
else,
the air.
hang on, because we're still here.
I have a couple of comments, too, about your covers before you finish telling that story. Joy Shelton York said they are beautiful. And Beth Hildebrand spoke about the content. She said it's beautiful poetry.
Oh, thank you, Beth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, you were...
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I apologize because I feel like I think I've just talked too much.
Well, I think it's a subject that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
am
subject
very passionate.
I happen to be passionate about also. And you probably know this, but the Ryukyuan people are recognized by the United Nations as being their own people, yet they're not recognized by Japan as being their own people.
Yeah.
But they still don't get all of the benefits that Japanese people do. I mean, it's a big mess. So
yeah, it is. And unfortunately, and so I guess that's why I'm happy. I think that was the thing for me is I was like, am I Ryukyuan enough to tell this story? Do I have enough of this culture? Do I have permission, basically? And then ultimately I decided, yes, as long as I'm not telling somebody else's story, because my personal family was not, well, I'm sure some of them are, but some of them were, but my personal family immigrated, I think, within months of World War II breaking out and the Battle of Okinawa. And I like to think that's because they were Yuta and they said, holy cow, something bad is coming, we're out. And they just left. I don't know for sure. But that's what I like to think. And so I can't say like we suffered so much. We suffered. They had their own things that happened to them, obviously. But it was like, because I have that white privileged girl inside of me, along with the Ryukyuan girl, I feel like I can tell the story because I have books by Okinawan authors that are very quiet. They're just, I don't want to be demanding, like we shouldn't be demanding. And, there's so many people that have had wrongs, great wrongs, but I feel like there's just a quietness there that I'm not bound by. I don't have to feel subdued. So who knows what'll come up with it, but I'm just like, I'll tell the story as long as I can, as long as I'm not overstepping my bounds. So.
Yeah, I guess it's not a story that everybody knows, but like I said, I'm passionate about all indigenous people myself.
Yeah.
And so I've researched it all a lot from my privileged white girl upbringing, born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. So, I mean,
I used to go buy my vinyls in Boston, Massachusetts.
What's your vinyls there?
Yeah.
Your vinyls. All of your vinyls.
So you were talking earlier about something else that you offer, and that's coaching.
Yeah.
Book coaching, yes.
Would you like to talk a little bit about what you have to offer there?
Sure, absolutely. I started out, I was volunteering for the Horror Writers Association as a mentor. And that's actually, that trophy right there was from that. I was Mentor of the Year in 2020. And 2020 was so bad that trophy actually says 2021 because we got the year wrong. Like somebody got the year wrong, like the trophy company or somebody. But I won't let them change it because I was like, no, that's to me better than having it have the right year on it. I think that is hilarious. So, and yeah, it was that kind of year. But yeah. From there, I just really love coaching writers. I mean, to me, I get such a thrill still about seeing my name in print. I started out in newspapers, and I still treasure the very first thing I ever got published professionally, which was letter to the editor in Denton, Texas. And I still, every single time I get a byline, I get that thrill. And then I realized I get that same thrill when I see other people getting published. You know, it's, you know, we want happiness. To me, that is the best joy. I would say of having my kids, but that was not fun. I'm not going to lie. Having the kids was not fun. The kids later were great, but having them is not a joy in my life. And, you know, I'm so excited to do that for other people. So I recently started on Readsy as a book coach and an editor. And I think I'm in my second official week, and I am already, I think I have 8 clients right now. So I'm already kind of like, whoa. But it's really fun to see these books come to life. I can't talk about any of them, but they are great. You are going to love them.
Are you doing them over Zoom, or how do you meet with people?
Over Google Meet. So basically like Zoom, if they wanted to. I actually used to meet in StreamYard. I would keep a studio that I never hit record on. And so it's just a nice, easy link for people to come into. So that's when I was doing it for the HWA, that's what I would do. We would meet in my StreamYard studio. And I felt, you know, like, ooh, let's step into my virtual office.
Yeah, so
that's a lot of fun. Yeah, it works out good though. Usually the pattern is somebody will send me a chapter and then I read it, edit it, but I'm also making developmental notes on it. And then we meet about a day, like 3 days for me to work on it. And then we meet on video and then we talk about it. But it's also more of a holistic thing. So we also talk about building their platform in general, you know, opportunities for branding, you know, what kind of things are they looking for? Because I think the first question any author should ask themselves is, why are you doing this? Because there's different reasons, and each different reason will have a different approach, but none of them are wrong. And that's why I think we kind of get cheated a little bit, because we're told there's like don't write for money, you know, you're a sellout. Well, why not? Do we not live on money like everybody else? You know, you wouldn't go to your mechanic and say, hey, you do this for the love of it, so I'm not going to pay you. You know, we would not do that. And so, but we do that for artists. Like that tends to be, so I disagree with that completely, but not everybody writes for income. They may not want that. They may want a different, you know, like they may be writing for awards or notoriety, and that's a different approach entirely. If you're writing for money, you probably want to do serials and a very fast turnover, or maybe even doing low content books, you know, like comic books or not, I'm sorry, not huge content, coloring books or, you know, something like that. But, you know, if you're writing for awards, you probably don't want to do that. You're writing more literary, or, you know, like the poetry book, we wrote for awards. Like that was our goal. And I was actually the publisher of that. And I don't even think I made 23 cents a copy, because we went full color inside and we did just basically all the things, because it was not a book meant to create income. It was a book meant to try to get attention and get an award, which it did. So that's like the first question any author I think needs to ask themselves is, why are you doing this? And I can't think of it right now, but I have a little map drawn out. And so usually when I'm teaching somebody, I do like a little figure of like, it doesn't have to be one reason, but you have to see where you are on that graph. And then that tells you what you need to focus on. And that way, because there's a lot to focus on, we're not spinning our wheels. If your primary goal is to make income, but you're making these beautiful books that make awards, you're going to be frustrated because you're not going to get the income ever. And the awards do not translate into income, and income doesn't necessarily translate to awards. But you can, if you want two things, you can merge things. You don't have to only have one goal in your entire career. You know, we don't do that with anything else. So you could be like, well, I want to get the awards to get the attention, but then I want to go commercial and make a living at this, which is also valid. So, but I'm very passionate about helping authors. I started out self-published, I don't know, a long time ago now. I think it was like 2010 was my first book. And it was at the time, you guys probably remember that time, there was nothing for indie authors, and you had to really battle that whole stigma against, you know, where Vanity published and all that kind of thing. And now we live in this wonderful time of entrepreneurs, And many of us are making this our career and standing up for our intellectual rights. And then now we have like AI involved in it as well. And how does that help or hinder us? But I think we definitely need to understand it so that we know, we can protect our intellectual property. And, there's so much to talk about. We could probably do like a 10-hour show on just authors and the state of the author universe.
Yes, we have been around that long
Yeah.
to remember what it was, which is why we named our website Indie Book Source, because there is no stigma to being an independent filmmaker. And
or a musician.
Or a musician. And there shouldn't be a stigma to being an indie published author. And it just, I think you're right. It has to be, what do you want to do? What is going to be comfortable for you? And then you do that. I think that people who, you're right, if you want to make an income, you're going to have to go a very different route.
Yeah. Well, and my daughter is also a publisher, and she's an income focused publisher, and she kills me on royalties. I think I probably shouldn't admit this, but if you look on Amazon KDP, your lifetime earnings, you can find your lifetime earnings on there. I looked the other day and $6,000. That is what I have made off my books over a decade. And that's not counting like stories I've sold and stuff. That is like the things that I have self-published on Amazon. And she probably makes that in a month, so big difference. But, and this is something that her and I had to come to grips with. I'm happy with doing what I'm doing. I do make my income in other ways, but the books, I do want to make that mark. And I do want to, we have different reasons.
You have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And you're not telling your story to become rich. You're doing your story because you have a story that you want to tell.
Right. And you have a collection of things right behind you there on the shelf that you want to continue to add to.
I do. Yeah. I have started that collection.
Those are very impressive.
The Bram Stoker are impressive, and so is the Mentor. All three are very impressive.
Yeah, I sometimes do this. I'll call it a haunted house tour, but there's so many details on this that people don't see from afar. But I just love this. I actually, for your Atlanta listeners, that's actually where I began my horror career, was in Atlanta. I'd gone to a convention there, and it was the year before StokerCon became StokerCon. It was when it was still the World HorrorCon, I think. And it was my first horror event because I was actually trying to get away from horror. I had been trying to write Bible study books, but they all came out as horror. And so, which there's a lot of elements of that in the Bible, but I was...
I like that.
And so I went to this convention kind of to get it out of my system. I just have to, get all this horror stuff out of my system. And then I just utterly found my people. It was just kind of like, oh, this is actually where I belong. Like, which the whole point was I wanted to say something that mattered in the world. That's why I was trying to write the Bible study books. And then I found out it doesn't have to be one thing. There's so many different ways to communicate a message. And so this is my place, in the horror community. And now I've written, ironically, since 2020, I've been a lot less horrible. I've actually been writing happy endings and more sci-fi. And I think I was more horror when there wasn't horror in the world, because I felt like we needed it to remind ourselves that it's not all roses. Like, we have to be serious. We have to face monsters, and they can be real. And then when the monsters became real, I've gone towards like more focused on, and we can defeat them. Let's defeat them. Like, we can. And also they are fed on hate, and so let's not have that element. Let's not be the mob that's chasing Frankenstein. Let's figure out a way to not be these terrible stories.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to go to a Scream Fest here in Tampa Bay.
Scream.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, our team has 2 tables there, and we're going to sell our Chance of a Ghost.
End of June.
At the end
nice.
Of June. Yeah.
That is, the horror people, you would think that they would be terrible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are the kindest, most honest, loving people I have ever met, which is not what I was expecting. But I think it's honestly because when you are talking to people that are in the horror genre, that is what you're getting, because they're going to write down all their dark impulses. Like if I'm really angry at somebody, they're going to die. But in one of my stories, and I get it all out. I had a manager at one point that was just made me so angry. He was a terrible guy. Like he would make fun of me for being poor. He made fun of me for being a woman. He was just a jerk, like the biggest jerk I've ever worked for. And he died in giving the devil his due. and
really funny.
I don't say the word Sam's Club in it, but that it's you can tell. And his name in the story is Manager Matt. And that was his real life name. But hey, who is Manager Matt? There's probably a lot of Manager Matt. So but I felt much better. And then I could face him after that and just smile. Which is probably why he...
Beth says, excellent description of horror authors. Well, Marjorie Deering, who is very funny and always making funny remarks here on the show, is a horror writer. And we've had a lot of horror writers on the show.
Yeah.
And they're all fabulous, kind people. We're really looking forward to Horror Fest.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to finding out how you like it and what your experiences are, because I'm sure you'll cover it. So I will be interested to watch and bring you into our community, the dark community where we do have cookies.
Well, we are
right there anyways. Yeah. Well, and that's what's really awesome about it, is because if you don't believe, and we were talking about this yesterday. Oh, thank you, Joan. we were talking a little bit about this yesterday. If you don't understand that something is real, it can harm you. So if you don't believe in ghosts, like in the case of the story of conjuring an incubus, in real life, I would never, ever want to do that. It is much easier to just go to a bar and pick up a date. So that was obviously supposed to be just a funny tongue-in-cheek story. But unfortunately, you could conjure something. Like the memes are there. You can find the books on the internet. You can go get kits that really could work, and there's it's real stuff. But if you don't know that and you start playing with it, you could unleash a lot of stuff you don't want. And that's why I'm grateful to people that study it.
We tell people that all the time, that, want to go hunt ghosts and they want to conjure up ghosts in their house. They want to scry and they want to do all this other stuff. And we say to them, don't do it. And don't go ghost hunting in a place that's known for having dark spirits if you're going to be afraid, because they literally feed on the fear and are attracted to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it's one thing in a lighted room to say, oh, no, I'm bad. I'm not going to be afraid. And then in that basement or whatever in the dark, you could be afraid. Things are happening. I did a ghost hunt for a friend in my basement. And all I used was the dowsing rods. And she videoed it. I think we had like a pendulum or something else, but it's very, very light. And she just was like really wanting to see it. And I didn't even think there was anything in my base. Like I didn't think we had anything in our house, which is why we bought that house. Cause it was 122 years old, but it was like sealed. There was no influences in it other than a ghost dog, which was fine with me. He could stay there. I welcome all dogs. But all that happened in that entire time, besides the batteries all going dead and it being wickedly cold, was at one point I fell into a little trance and my dowsing rods swung, and I didn't see it myself. It's on camera. But I was asleep, having actually the dream about the dog, like a really fast little vision of the dog, which is where I found out who it was in that house and why he was still there. And that was enough for her. But before that, it was, and she taunted, and I actually was like, especially in my house, you're not going to taunt this. Like, never taunt anything, because that's rude, and you wouldn't expect to go into a room of people and just because you can't see them, they're there, and be like, hey, da da da, oh, you're stupid. What do you think is going to happen to you? You're going to get slapped in the head.
We're very much against provoking.
Our team
is no way.
Because it's no different than if a living person doesn't want to talk to you, they don't have to.
Yeah.
And you're yelling at them and screaming at them just to get them angry so they'll respond to you. That's just really not only rude, but ridiculous and wrong.
I did learn that the hard way through playing with the Ouija board in college. And I taunted, and that's how I know don't do that ever.
And don't use the Ouija board if you don't know how to open and close, and if you don't know what you're opening the portal to. So, because you may open a portal to something you don't want to have.
I was a stupid kid.
If you have the will, there is a way, and he's right. If you have the will, there is a way to conjure anything.
Yeah.
We have no will whatsoever to conjure anything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm at now. Like, I can see it, and I'm happy. I'm not afraid, and I have tools, but I don't have to poke the bear. I don't have to see anything if it's not there. If something wants to reach out and contact me for whatever reason, that's fine.
That's the difference. Right. That's the difference. We only talk to people that want to talk.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I have so much respect for you guys and what you're doing. And I think the horror community desperately, I won't say desperately, but that's a very good element to have in the horror community, because they are hand in hand, but it's a responsible way of handling that kind of thing.
Yeah. Most of all, we respect everybody, the living and the dead. And, and when we're called to homes, it's to bring peace between both. The living and the dead. Sometimes the dead don't realize that they don't own the house anymore.
Yeah.
And they need to be told, well, you had your time and now this is their time.
Yeah. Well, and that's like my uncle, which was the thing we talked a little bit about yesterday, about what started me even on that path. Everything is breaking. Our stove blew up. Our microwave blew up. All the tires on every vehicle went flat in a day. In a locked garage, like so many things happened. And then I think
not happy, I take it.
Yeah. But then I thought about it, like, as how disorienting, like, he must be disoriented to be passed away. And he's bumping, he's blind, he's bumping into stuff and breaking it. And it's not a harmful thing. It's not an intentional harm. It was harmful as in, like, we had to buy a new microwave, we had to get a new stove, but it wasn't intended to harm. It was just being clumsy. Just, I don't know what's going on and I'm panicked. And we do that as living people. We thrash around when we're hurt. We knock things off of tables. We, emotionally hurt people when we're hurt, so 100% love the whole piece. Like, that's what we need, is the peace and the balance, both for the living and the dead.
There you go.
Yeah. We investigated in one house where, we went there 4 different times to find out what was going on. And the homeowner at first was like, I want it out. I want it out. I don't want it here. And then by the time we were there the last time, she said, he can stay. It's okay if he stays, if he wants to stay, but he can't touch the children, because he had been touching one of the children. And he can't come up from the floor like a shadow and scare everybody. So,
that's a reasonable request.
Yeah. So everybody had boundaries. He could stay and be part of the family and watch what was going on, as long as he was respectful of them. So, which awesome. At first she was like, she wanted us to come in and sage and get rid of him, and which we would have done, because it was her house. But by the 4th time, and she was like, well, he can stay. I see now he doesn't mean any ill intent. And they're like,
that makes me happy. That's a happy story.
Yeah, it is a happy story. Often our investigations have a really happy, positive ending. Sometimes
most of the time, actually.
heartbreaking. But yes. Oh, Robert, So true. And the bathroom is out of bounds. Exactly.
Yes.
No entities in the bathroom ever. They don't need to use it. They don't need to go in there.
And they don't need to know what's going on.
No.
Yeah.
And frankly, I don't want them in the bedroom either.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, we all have our boundaries.
Yes. Really, I really don't like waking up and seeing something standing at the end of the bed.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no.
I was just thinking about things like, yeah, I mean, I guess as long as they're not staying there. I did have a case like that. It was my first daughter's father, but I didn't know he had passed away because we had split off by that time, and he had been passed away. And I saw him one night, and I was thinking of my reaction, which now I wish had been different. I was still in my kind of scared, you shouldn't see that. Like, don't look at it. It's, you don't want it to be real kind of phase. But like when I really think of it, it was not a scary thing. My fear was what made it scary. And he was just leaning forward to look at me, and I think saying goodbye. And I have always regretted it since then that I did react in fear, because my reaction was to close my eyes. It's not real. And then I opened my eyes and he was closer looking at me. And then it was like, close my eyes again. It's really, really not real. And then I opened my eyes and he was gone. And, now I sometimes think, because we did have a very special relationship, that, I'm sad that I did that. So.
He knows that now. Yeah. So you're good.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I will say I'm married now, though, Keith, so you don't have to come back. My husband probably wouldn't appreciate you standing at the foot of the bed. We'll just say that.
There you go. And that is true.
Yeah.
Well,
it's getting late.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. This has been such a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Probably for hours, like we did the other day.
Yeah, for our 10-minute mic and lighting check.
Yeah. Hours later, but it was very enjoyable. So, and
yeah.
I'm
so glad I've met you guys. I'm going to go check out your podcast after this, because I'm, a fan. You may have noticed of all of these type of things. Yeah, your paranormal one and this one. I'm a fan of both the things that you guys do. So
you got to realize the paranormal ones, we get quite silly as a group. We are very silly.
Pretty silly.
Beth says, great interview. Thanks, Beth. I agree.
Glad you could join us.
I am too.
And so we're going to move you over to the side now, if I can figure out how to do it. There we go. Get you over there. Hope that didn't hurt your neck or anything.
Whiplash.
Hang in there until we come back to you. We got Robert White says, thanks, Angela, for your time and tales.
Thanks for listening.
And Marjorie says it was a fun and interesting podcast. Thanks all.
Thanks for being here, Marjorie.
You guys are great.
And
they are a great audience. I mean, they're an amazing audience.
Super. I want to remind everybody that our dog's looking for that dog.
Yeah, our dog's looking for your dog.
That's hysterical. Remind everybody we're going to be gone for the next 3 weeks, but the show will be on anyway. The show must go on. 3 brand new episodes, never been out of the can yet. So they're June 12th is Dr. Bruce Farmer. June 19th is Timothy Gager. June 26th is Stephen Panis. And that's Wednesday night at 7. Next 3 Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. And I don't think there's anything else that we really need to talk about.
I don't think so. If we decide, if we can live stream, we're not sure we'll be able to do that from Gettysburg. We will.
Yeah.
It'll be on at odd times, so you'll probably get an alert on YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
We'll be doing it over WLFE-DB.
That's right. Okay. So I guess until next time.
That's all, folks. Good night.
Good night.
Live every Wednesday, your Voice of Indie hosts Beam Weeks and Stephen Gees welcome authors, musicians, publishing industry pros, artists, and assorted creative guests for an exciting interactive hour. Call in during the show or post questions and comments on Twitter for responses in real time. Meet your favorite indie creators, learn inside tips, network, and promote your work. The link for each week's show is pinned on Twitter atop @VoiceOfIndie, and you can receive the link every Wednesday morning in your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter at freshinkgroup.com. Check out Voice of Indie every Wednesday on Blog Talk Radio and catch hundreds of episodes archived everywhere from our websites to our YouTube channel and Spotify.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-D.